I felt that I wanted to bring you this episode because I thought it was relevant now because we're in that transition between seasons. And that new season, it's really an opportunity to think about what's ahead and not just react to what is new. Although I get it, new, shiny new toys, it doesn't matter what it is, it always grabs our attention. Welcome to the Style and Strategy Podcast, where personal brand meets leadership and style. I'm Sonya, a personal brand and style coach who's been exactly where you are, juggling career and business success, personal growth, and finding a style that truly fits. After decades in corporate leadership, I've learned that showing up isn't just about what you do. It's about how you align who you are and how the world sees you. This season, I'm bringing you practical strategies, bold insights, and honest conversations to help you amplify your presence, unlock your next level, and lead with clarity and confidence. Let's dive in. Picked up on it already. We're getting hints of autumn-winter collections coming through if you're in the Asia Pacific region. And I'm getting a few DMs and messages with the same question. What should I be buying for next season? So here's what I'm telling my clients. Although what's trending and what's coming through always is a great refresh to your wardrobe, and when you're seeing that stuff on the rack, I want you to do something a little bit different. I want you to start with what's on your calendar, because in order to get the most out of what you've got, it's about not always buying reactively. And a little bit of planning can go a long way, because I want you to remember that your wardrobe isn't just about having good pieces. It's about whether those pieces actually serve you in the rooms that you're walking into. When your wardrobe works for you instead of against you, getting dressed stops being a source of, let's call it stress, and starts being a source of empowerment, clarity, something that actually adds to the person walking into that room. So today on the podcast, I'm going to take you through what I'm calling strategic wardrobe planning. Not necessarily what to buy, but how to map your calendar to your closet or wardrobe. We can focus on reducing that decision fatigue instead of adding to the list of decisions you already have to make. I felt that I wanted to bring you this episode because I thought it was relevant now because we're in that transition between seasons. And that new season, it's an opportunity to think about what's ahead and not just react to what is new. Although I get it, new, shiny new toys, it doesn't matter what it is, it always grabs our attention. The question is, what's the next step that's actually happening? So I want to talk a little bit around why this matters, what the research tells us, and a 3-step framework I use with my clients as well. So here's what I see a lot of the time. There's a reactive purchase because there's usually a lack of time because there's so many things going on. You're busy in your day job, something comes up, you need something. It might be a big presentation, a board meeting, external event, and then it's a bit of a scramble because you don't necessarily have what you need in your wardrobe. So then you're pulling together those outfits the night before, really just trying to find out what works and potentially settling for that good enough because you're out of time. Or it's potentially purchased on trends. What is new? What is exciting? What everybody else is wearing? What are you scrolling your feed going, I'm seeing these things? And then what looks good in the store or what the sales assistant said was good. But here's what's not happening. There's no planning based on what's actually on their calendar. And that reactive approach has a real cost. So let me give you some research on this. There's a study by Kathleen Vose, and hopefully I've spelt her name correctly, and her team at the University of Minnesota. They looked at what happens to our cognitive function after we make a series of choices. In this case, it was consumer choices around products. And what they actually found was after making these choices, participants showed a 24% reduction in self-control and cognitive function based on subsequent tasks. So 24%. If you think about that for a second, so if every morning you spend, let's say, 20 minutes in your wardrobe trying to decide what you're going to wear for the day, what meetings you've got on, how do you want to show up, that's actual mental energy that you're not spending on the strategic decisions you need to make in the room. There's also another study, and this one I found absolutely fascinating because it's about judges in the judicial system. Researchers actually looked at parole decisions made by judges throughout the day. At the beginning of the day, judges granted parole about 65% of the time. By the end of the day, nearly 0%. Same judges, same types of cases. What was the difference? Maybe decision fatigue. I don't know. Maybe there was something more, but there is actually some research on this, which I found fascinating. So the question now becomes, what decisions are you making differently when you've already spent 20 minutes deciding what to wear? That is decision fatigue, and it's costing you more than you think. There's also another cost, and this is the one we don't talk about very often, and this one's internal. When you're wearing something that doesn't quite feel right, even if it looks professional, it creates what I call a visual friction. You're spending mental energy managing what you're wearing instead of focusing on what matters in the room. What you're experiencing there is like a distraction related to physical discomfort. You're second guessing whether you're dressed appropriately for the context. And here's what the research tells us about this. The visual friction directly impacts, again, your cognitive performance. There's a study which I've talked about previously, and that was Enclothed Cognition by, I think it's Hayo Adam and Adam Galinsky. And they had participants wear a white lab coat. Half of the participants were told it was a doctor's coat. The other half were told it's a painter's coat. Same coat, different label. The participants who thought they were wearing a doctor's coat made 50% fewer errors on attention-demanding tasks compared to those who thought they were wearing a painter's coat. So we see a lot in the media around what you're wearing changes how you're experienced by others. But what I want to make clear is the nuance, and this is the bit that I like to dig into. It changes how you show up cognitively and behaviorally, right? When you're wearing something that fits the bill when it comes to your leadership identity, you'll naturally perform better. When you're wearing something that creates visual friction, something that feels wrong, even if it looks fine, you're actually adding that cognitive load that reduces or can reduce your performance. So, strategic wardrobe planning isn't just about looking good. It's about freeing up that mental energy so you can focus on what actually matters. All right, so that's the problem. In some cases, reactive buying can create decision fatigue, and visual friction reduces that performance. So if most leaders are navigating both without even realizing it, what is the alternative? I like to call this strategic wardrobe planning with a 3-part framework, 3 steps. We're going to map, identify, and refresh. Let's keep it simple. MIR. So let me walk you through each one. So first step, you're going to open up your calendar for the next 3 to 6 months. Even just sticking with 3 is a good start. You're not looking at every meeting. You're looking for those moments that matter, as you've heard me say before. They're the moments where your wardrobe, you just don't want it to be a distraction. So this could be work travel where you're representing your organization, conferences, you might be presenting, external events, it might be investor presentations, that type of thing. Could be leadership offsites or strategy sessions. And any moment where the answer to this question is yes. In this moment, do I need to be remembered or just present? And if the answer is remembered, that to me is a high stakes moment to you, not to anyone else, but it's about you. So let me give you an example. One of my clients had a board presentation coming up. So she'd been in the role for around about 6 months. This was her first time presenting this full strategy to the board. So that to her was a be remembered moment. It wasn't just about presenting, it wasn't just about nailing her conviction and her voice and through that moment and what she had to deliver. But it was also, she wanted to feel good in the moment. She wanted to come across in the way that she described it. So when mapping that calendar, it was that board presentation was that moment. So as you're going through that calendar, you're actually noting down the date, the context, who's in the room, the formality level. Is it corporate boardroom or corporate cafe? Is it a senior stakeholder meeting or a team workshop? Because these are different contexts and will require a different approach. You're asking about those moments. What do I want to communicate visually here? Do I want to be seen as approachable but still senior, warm but grounded? Maybe collaborative. We already know from research at Princeton that first impressions are formed in 1/10 of a second based on those visual cues. 1/10 of a second. If you've been around here long enough, you would hear me use this often. So the question isn't whether it matters. The question is, what is it saying? All right, so that's step one. We're going to map the calendar with the high stakes moments. And then you're going to note the context of what you want to communicate. Number two, I want you to go to your wardrobe closet with your calendar in mind. And you're asking, do I have the pieces in here for those moments? Not do I have clothes? Do I have the clothes that I want for that moment, for that room? And you're looking for three things. One, what is working? What are the pieces that make you feel grounded and confident, if that's what's important to you? Those pieces will align with your leadership identity. The pieces that you put on and think, oh, yes, I feel completely like me. Those stay. Second, what's actually creating visual friction for you? Those are the pieces that look fine but feel wrong.
So maybe they don't feel like you, or they're physically uncomfortable. Too hot, too tight, too formal with how you lead today and how you want to be seen in the future. So when you put them on, you're spending a whole lot of mental energy managing discomfort instead of being fully present. That is actually creating a cognitive load, and they need to go. Finally, where are your gaps? Are you missing a nice blouse or a shirt? Do you need better travel pieces that still look good after a 5-hour flight that you could just throw in a pair of nice shoes? Or are you even missing those shoes? The ones that'll take you through an all-day conference? Do you need a statement piece for those moments that you want to be remembered? So by the end of that step, you should start to have a clear list of what's working and what's creating that visual friction and what's missing, and what height stake moments you need to plan for. And this is where most people get it wrong, okay? When they walk in and thinking, refresh, I'm going to go out and buy all these new things. It doesn't actually always mean that. The gaps identified those from the calendar, and it's all about quality over volume. You want to buy pieces that are actually going to serve you not only in those moments, but also in the other day-to-day, so you can get return on investment on the pieces you have. I think most importantly, this is not about what everybody else is telling you need. You just need the blazer, or you just need this shirt, whatever it might be. This is about finding which pieces resonate for you for those moments that matter. So I want you to remember that a new season is actually a real opportunity to refresh your colour palette too. So it might be replacing an accent colour, something that you're thinking, I don't have that colour in my wardrobe and I'd like to create a bit of an injection in that. And just by doing that can save you from buying a whole new wardrobe. So if something didn't make that keep list, or it's creating that visual friction, or just purely taking up space, this is your permission to let it go and pass it on. Because having a wardrobe that reduces your decision fatigues is like having less work. Because when you edit ruthlessly for the pieces that you want, your wardrobe starts to have real purpose. When you go in there it becomes much easier to put outfits together. Another bugbear for a lot of clients who come to me going, I just want to work out, how do I put these pieces together? I honestly believe that once you've done this, you're going to free up a whole lot of mental capacity that you didn't have before. And this is how you get your wardrobe to work for you and not against you. So if this is something you want to work on a little bit more, I am actually running a 3-hour special virtual intensive for a group who would like to focus on getting their leadership wardrobe capsule sorted. So we'll spend a bit of time planning out, what have you got coming through? What are some of those key pieces? How do we put those together? And checking in on your own wardrobes as well. It is basically going to be an action-packed session where you're going to walk away taking that time to have executed and done what you needed to do to get you to a point where you've got that foundational capsule ready to go and a clear plan for moving forward. If this is something that you'd love to be involved in or want to find out more, just drop me a DM, drop a comment below, and I will make sure that I send you across the details. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of the Style and Strategy podcast. Please remember, like last week, drop your Q&A. Let me know what's top of mind for you, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to Style and Strategy. I hope today's episode gave you a spark of clarity, a boost of confidence, or a new way to approach your personal brand and style. If you found it valuable, share it with someone or leave me a review. Or drop me a note and let me know what resonated most for you. Remember, every small shift brings you closer to your next level. Until next time, keep leading with clarity, confidence, and of course, your own unmistakable style.